Sunberg playing second base and hitting second. Andre Dawson in right field. Keith Moreland playing third base. Leon Durham hitting fifth and playing first base. Dave Martinez in center field tonight. Sean Dunston at shortstop. Jim Sunberg behind the plate, and Ed Lynch takes the mound. And for Philadelphia, Milt Thompson in center field. Juan Samuel at second base. Batting third and playing first base, Vaughn Hayes. And last year's MVP, Mike Schmidt at third. Mike Easler, a new addition in left field. Lance Parrish behind the plate. Glenn Wilson in right field. Steve Jeltz at shortstop. And Kevin Gross on the mound. Both teams 0-2. Both teams looking for win number one. And there you look at the umpires. Bob Davidson behind the plate. Harry Wendelstedt at first base, Terry Tata at second, Jerry Crawford at third. And right now, the Philly Fanatic out there going through his act. And George, the show must go on. The Philly Fanatic had 101 temperature, but came to the park anyway, and is doing what he does best, entertaining the fans.
I'm not sure that show must go on. I think that people could come out and just see baseball without that. But I suppose for those who aren't crazy about baseball, it's a good thing. But then what are they doing here?
Well, today, if you look around, it actually isn't quite as big a crowd as I think that both of us expected for opening day here in Philadelphia.
It is surprising. I guess the Chicago Bulls are in town with Michael Jordan, but there are a lot more than 16,000 seats left over here.
And you look around the stadium, a lot of seats still open in center field and down each line. George, the Philadelphia Phillies are a team much like the Cubs. I think they both have some offense, and it looks like they both have some pitching questions.
A lot of questions, and of course you can argue about what percentage of baseball pitching is, but it's not less than 75. It's an awful lot of the game, and no matter how many runs you put up, if you've got to go out there every day and put up 6 or 7 runs to stay in the game, you're going to lose too many games.
And it seems like the interesting thing about it every year is that every manager and all the general managers and all the scouts you talk to say the same thing. You know, if our ball club could just get a little more pitching, we can do it. It looks to me like the talent's fairly similar all around the league. And the guys who develop the farm system that puts out the pitchers are the teams year in and year of the Baltimore Orioles, and that's a ball club over the years that's turned out a literal plethora of pitchers.
That's right, but they really typify the problem now. A lot of their pitchers, Flanagan, McGregor, Boddicker, don't look quite as strong as they used to be, so they went out this winter hunting pitchers, and they found that everyone was hunting pitchers. Everyone had good young outfielders to trade. Most people had good young infielders, and no one had pitchers to spare.
Well, Baltimore's had some problems with the guys that they developed out of their farm system, like Mike Flanagan. Of course, they didn't develop Scott McGregor, but he's played a big part in the Orioles' resurgence over the last 10 years. These guys suddenly got old right before their very eyes. Now, they filled in with Mike. That was about it. They had a couple of disappointments, guys who looked like they were going to do it, who didn't. And right now, they seem to be in the same boat as everybody in the American League East, looking for one more starter and maybe one more relief man.
That's an old joke in baseball, and my team's only two players away from greatness, but they're Walter Johnson and Cy Young.
Right. Let's take a look around at some of the things about Mike Schmidt's night here tonight. Honors his last year's MVP. There you can see he stands at 495 home runs, 5 away from the coveted 500 mark. And there's a look at Mike Schmidt. What a year he had last year, and what a career he had. And George, you brought up an interesting point before the ball game about sports fans coming to the ballpark.
Well, you know, it's very rare that you can go out to a ballpark and just know that you're going to see a player who's the best who ever played at that particular position. I suppose the last time before Schmidt that you could say that with some plausibility and without too much argument was when Johnny Bench was catching for the Reds. Even there, people would say, well, Bill Dickey or Mickey Cochran, someone else. I think it's now generally understood in baseball that Mike Schmidt's the best who ever played third base.
It certainly looks like that offensively, and when you look at his stats defensively over the years, you'll realize that he's a complete ball player. He's got a great arm. He's always had a terrific glove.
He's won 10 Gold Glove awards. Last year he made 8 errors, 1 error after June.
When you look at him, you wonder that he stayed healthy all this time. I know he works very hard in the offseason, but He seems to have a good body for baseball, and I know it doesn't happen by accident. Here's a man who devotes a lot of time to staying in shape. Otherwise, he wouldn't be around this long, and certainly not playing third base.
Well, as you just said, he's 5 away from the magic number of 500 home runs. That puts him 12 behind Ernie Banks.
And leading off the ball game, Chico Walker. He'll be looking out at Kevin Gross, who, quite frankly, had a miserable spring. He just didn't throw the ball very well, had a herniated disc early in the spring, was sidelined until March 15th. So he got a late start in spring training and just had his problems. Had an 0-2 record, a 762 earned run average in 3 games in the spring. Gave up more hits than innings pitched, but it's time for the bell to ring. And the first fastball misses up. You know, with a bad back, you have a tendency to leave everything high. And if he's feeling any effects of it, George, he's going to have trouble keeping the ball down. Swing and a miss, and that evens the count. You've got to believe that Lance Parrish behind the plate is going to help this ball club.
As long as he stays healthy, and that's just another back that's a question mark. He, of course, has a terrific incentive to stay healthy because he gets something like $200,000 extra if he's not on the disabled list before the All-Star game.
So the man will be walking to the plate.
That's right.
There's a look at big Lance Parrish. Foul back this way. The count evens at 2-2. Lance Parrish looks a lot more like a linebacker than he does a catcher. He has huge biceps, works very hard on the weights. There you take a look at him. That is a king-size catcher, folks. Walker hitting 188 lifetime against the Phillies. And he fouls that one back. Ryan Sandberg in the on-deck circle. He'll be followed by Andre Dawson. Defensively, Mike Easler in left, Milt Thompson in center, Glenn Wilson in right field. Infield, Schmidt, Jeltz, Samwell, and Hayes. There you look at John Felsky, a little under the weather tonight. He has got the flu, but he said nothing stopping him from managing this ball club.
And the fans thanked him by booing him when he ran out to the first baseline.
Isn't that something?
These are rough fans.
You lose 2 games, and all of a sudden, the fans down on you. Breaking ball misses low and in, and it's a full count. Cubs would love to get Chico Walker on at the top of the lineup. They know that Lance Parrish throws the ball well. They'd like to test him early. Ball 4 outside. Chico Walker aboard to lead off the first inning, and a good start for Ryan Sandberg.
And the fans are heard from.
They will boo most everything here.
If it moves. And it doesn't move fast enough.
Outfield shading Sandberg toward left center field. Fairly deep for him. This has been one of the problems with Kevin Gross. His herniated disc affected his leg. He had a sore left leg. He wasn't bending over. His control suffered. And the Cubs are looking to take advantage of that early. Tries to check his swing, and he does. 1-0. The appeal to first, and Harry Wendelstedt says nope, he didn't swing.
Now, Cub fans have been complaining for years with reason about the famous Brock Fabrolio trade. Phillies fans have just about as big a complaint about the trade that sent Sunberg to the Cubs.
Fouled straight back. He was really a throw-in in that deal that brought Larry Boa for Ivan DeJesus, and Sandberg, probably one of the most valuable throw-ins that ever was. And as you mentioned about Mike Schmidt being the best there ever was at third, I think Cub fans over the course of the years might be able to say the same thing about Ryan Sandberg at second. Walker going. In the dirt, no chance for Parrish to throw him out. He's in with a stolen base. And the Cubs taking advantage of the bad control of Kevin Gross early. You can see a good jump by Chico Walker, and no chance at all for Parrish. And that pitch isn't in the dirt, George. I don't know what happened. It looks like he crossed up Lance.
It was a good jump.
2-1 count on Sunberg. Walker with a big lead at second. Just missing inside, 3-1. You know, it's a little early in the ballgame, but it looks to me like Gross doesn't have his usual pop. I think he's still affected by the back problem. Foul back this way. What's it mean for you, George, to be on the board of directors of the Orioles?
Well, I sit respectfully and listen to what the owner says, the owner being my good friend Edward Bennett Williams.
How's Ed doing these days?
He's doing very well. He's had some health problems, but he's a man of simply indestructible spirit. He's back. He has an operation on Thursday and works on Saturday.
Popped up down the right field line. Glenn Wilson giving chase. Moves over into foul territory and drops the ball. And he just took his eye off the ball. It looked like he was looking at Chico Walker to see if he was tagging. He gets an error, and you don't see that very often. What do you think, George?
I think if his back isn't hurting, it is now. The poor pitcher makes a good pitch, gets the batter to do what he wants to do, and has to start over again. Bad defense just demoralizes a pitcher faster than anything else.
Especially when you consider that you've got to make another 3-2 pitch to Ryne Sandberg. And that will put you in a hole. Andre Dawson in the on-deck circle. Cubs trying to break on top. Fouled off. The Phillies have gotten off to such poor starts the last 2 years. A couple of years ago, they were 2-9 at the start of the season. Last year, 3-7. They were hoping to break out of it this year, but they lost 2 games in Atlanta, and the one yesterday a heartbreaker. They had a 6-1 lead in the bullpen, threw it away.
Last year they finished 21.5 games out of first. That is the worst second-place finish in the history of division baseball. But beginning in late May, they were the third best team in the league. Only the Astros and the Mets played better after May 28th. They were 71-51, which is a good enough percentage to win in most years.
But they can't let the Mets get away to the kind of start they did. And this year they'll be battling 2 teams because the Cardinals and Mets both at 2-0. Breaking ball misses low and away. The Cubs have runners at first and second. Nobody out.
Is it just my imagination, or do the Mets open every year by playing the Pirates for about 40 games?
It seems like whoever they play, they sure take advantage of it. Darryl Strawberry's hit 2 home runs in as many days.
Well, everyone said it's just a matter of time before Strawberry has one of those monster seasons, and he's showing signs that this might be it.
And he's very capable of doing it. And once again, the key for the Mets, keep Gary Carter healthy. If they can do that, they've got a pretty good shot at it. Andre Dawson looking out at Kevin Gross. Tries to lay a bunt down, and that's a surprise to everybody in the ballpark. Dawson hitting .262 lifetime against Philadelphia. And if you're a hitter, you want to come to the vet. The hitting background is wonderful. You have a big black canvas. Hitters say they see the ball well here. It's a very lively park. The ball will travel in the alleys. Good place to hit the ball out of. Line drive in the gap. Nobody's going to get this one. Chico Walker coming home to score. Sunberg around to third, and Dawson holds up with a long single, and it's an RBI for Andre Dawson. The Cubs on the board, 1-0. Hanging breaking ball, Andre Dawson taking advantage of it.
That ball was up in what may or may not be the strike zone, depending on whether you believe, on the one hand, the rule book or the current umpires.
We'll talk about that because that's an interesting point, an interesting article in Sports Illustrated about where the strike zone is shifted. But right now, Moreland trying to do some more damage, lines the ball to center field. Milt Thompson setting up. That ball's going to be deep enough. Here comes Sunberg. No chance to get him. Keith Moreland with an RBI, his second sacrifice fly of the year, and the Cubs go on top 2-0.
Number 10, first baseman Leon Orr.
Ball hit right on the nose. Milt Thompson drifts under it. The only thing he can do is get the ball back into second. That'll bring up Leon Durham, a lifetime .267 hitter against the Phillies. Outfield straight away. And a fastball misses high and away. So the leadoff walks to Walker and Sunberg have come home to haunt the Phillies early. Kevin Gross was not aided on a rare error by Glenn Wilson down the right field line. Fly ball well hit. Milt Thompson going back. He's got room. He makes the catch, and that's it for the Cubs in the first inning, but not before. They get 2 runs on 1 hit. There was an error, and there's only 2 out. Well, the wrap-up was a little too early, George.
Now they'll come back, we'll score 8.
We'll give the Cubs a chance to get some more runs here. Dave Martinez steps up. Martinez hitting .333 against the Phillies lifetime. Had some success last year against them. Outfield a little more shallow for David. And from what you heard about David, George, what do you think about his chances?
I think they're good. I think he's got basically what all teams need now, particularly in the National League, which is good speed. And if you're going to play on these carpets, I don't know how you feel. Again, I've watched a lot of American League baseball since moving to Washington and going up to Baltimore, but the American League fault, it seems to me, is that they do tend to stand around and wait for 3-run home runs. And you can't do that in the National League, particularly in places like this.
Good fastball, misses inside. Count evens at 1-1. 2 out here in the first inning. Kevin Gross with a walk to Walker, a walk to Sunberg. RBI single by Dawson, a sacrifice fly off the bat of Keith Moreland. And the Cubs are on top 2-0 early. The Phillies got in about 3:30 last night. Had a luncheon downtown today at 12 o'clock, mandatory attendance. So they might just be a tired ball club. Runner going. Throw to second. Safe at second base. Stolen base, Andre Dawson, and he picked a good pitch to run. That was a slow breaking ball. Let's take another look at it. Good slide by Andre Dawson. And he got in with the back leg, the trailer. So a 2-1 count on Dave Martinez. Big lead by Dawson at second. Skied down the left field line. Easler coming over. You know, you talked about Easler playing only 31 games as a fielder. There you take a look at him. This is the first time all spring he played on natural grass. We might see him misplay some hops on AstroTurf. It's a lot more springy than the natural stuff.
And I think this ballpark may be a little more springy even than most of them.
So the Phillies have some question marks in the outfield, but no question marks about their offense. They are going to have to outscore the opposition. They're not going to finesse too many teams. Good breaking ball, and that's it for Dave Martinez and the Cubs. But they get a couple on 1 hit. There was an error and 1 left. And we go into the bottom of the first inning with the Cubs on top, 2-0. Steve Stone and George Will back at the vet in Philadelphia. Ed Lynch taking his warm-up tosses. There you take a look at Ed's. We mentioned a couple of things last inning. One about the strike zone, George, and that's something to elaborate on. What's your view of the strike zone over the last couple of years?
Well, it's been changed a little bit by reading that article you mentioned by Peter Gammons, the fine baseball writer for Sports Illustrated, who wrote, and had a lot of sources agreeing with him in the article, that the strike zone has become smaller and much lower as the years have gone by. That far from being from the armpits to the top of the knees, as the rule book says, it now goes from about the belt buckle to below the knees. So a lot of pitches that are really chest high are way out of the strike zone now. If you can't hit the low pitch, you don't play in the big leagues.
Milt Thompson to lead it off, and he looks at a fastball down. Strong point for Eddie Lynch is control, averaging last year just 2 walks per 9 innings.
If this Phillies team is like last year's, the trick is to get out of the first inning, because they led the National League in runs scored in the first inning.
Line drive left field, curving away from Chico Walker. It's a foul ball. They have the type of attack that once they get going, as the Cubs found out in this park last year, they just don't stop. They hit 11 doubles against the Cubs in this park. They actually blew out the Cubs in the vet, had a 6-2 record against Chicago in Philadelphia. At Wrigley Field, it was a different story. The Cubs beat the Phillies 7 out of 9. Outfield around toward left center. Big gap in right center for Milt Thompson. Hitting .500 this young season. Line drive, left field, base hit. So the Phillies get it going early. Last year, if you look at the numbers on Eddie Lynch, as a starter, he was 4-4 with a 4.22 ERA. That accomplished in 13 starts. As a reliever, much more effective. 3-1 with a 1.93 ERA. And I think Eddie will probably be in the bullpen this year when Scott Sanderson gets himself together and gets back in the rotation. Juan Samuel looks at a strike. Samuel hitting .286 lifetime against Eddie Lynch with a home run. If you're the manager here, George, do you hit and run or do you let him steal?
I'm not sure how much contact this guy makes with a bat.
Not a whole lot. He strikes out quite a bit. Down the line, foul.
I think he struck out last year more than anyone else in the National League, didn't he?
Yes, he did. And one thing they're trying to get him to do is wait back a little bit. In spring training, the first half of spring, Del Unser, the hitting instructor, had him hitting everything to right field so that he would wait back. But he said when the season started, he's doing the same thing, George, lunging at everything and not very selective.
Well, when he hits the ball, he hits it well.
0-2 count on Juan Samuel. Fly ball well hit to right. Andre Dawson in position, and he makes the catch. President Reagan following the Cubs these days?
I doubt it.
Got a lot of other things on his mind?
Yes, there are people picking on him. He has enough problems without worrying about baseball.
Let's pause quickly for station identification.
This is WGN Television, Channel 9, Chicago.
Vaughn Hayes looking out at Ed Lynch, hitting .259 lifetime against Lynch with a home run. And Hayes has really widened his stance over the last year or so. He spread himself out last year, had a fine year for the Phillies.
He's going to be an all-star, this man.
Now take a look at that stance.
58 times last year he had 2 or more hits in a game.
Good contact, George. He can take the ball the opposite way. Pretty good contact hitter, and he's a man that you can hit and run with. Thompson with good speed at first. 2-0 count on Vaughn Hayes. Ground ball, nice play by Durham. Over to Dunston, and that's all they can get. So the Bull knocked it down, stayed with it, and got the force. Is he as good a first baseman as Eddie Murray defensively?
I think he may be.
Pretty good hands down at first base. There's a big hand for Mike Schmidt. Schmidt hitting .242 lifetime against Lynch, and he's hit 3 home runs against Lynch.
Once he gets to 500 home runs, then he's 11 away from Mel Ott, he's 12 away from Ernie Banks, and he really rises. If he should hit 30 home runs this year, Steve, he will tie one of the most remarkable records in baseball, which was Eddie Matthews' record of 9 consecutive seasons with 30 or more home runs. And the amazing thing is that Schmidt did it even in 1981, which was the strike-shortened season.
And it's amazing when you look at this day and age with AstroTurf and with the cross-country flights, that a man can stay healthy over that long a period to be in line to hit that many home runs. But Schmidt's done it. He ranks 14th on the all-time list. He's had 9 multi-home run games against the Cubs, 8 in Wrigley Field. Down the line and just foul by Keith Moreland. Jerry Crawford right on the call.
I think I may have seen one of those multi-home run games last year in August. It was one of those 3 o'clock starts, and he complained bitterly after the game how dangerous it was. You couldn't see the ball, and then he'd get up when he wasn't complaining and hit it out of the park.
I was a member of the Cubs in one of those multi-home run games when he had 4. Last one he hit off Darrell Knowles, who didn't want to be in the game at the time facing it. Everything he hit was a rocket. Fastball misses away. 73 career home runs against the Cubs. That's the most against any team. 47 at Wrigley Field. That's the most in any visiting park.
Takes some getting used to see Keith Moreland out of third base, but as he says, he started as a third baseman in the Phillies organization, except they had this guy Schmidt who was going to play third forever.
Line drive in the gap. Andre Dawson over in a hurry, and he makes the catch. Fine running grab by Dawson, and he gets Eddie Lynch and the Cubs out of the first inning. So no runs, a hit, no errors, and 1 left, and we're through 1 with the Cubs on top, 2-0. And George Will back at the vet in Philadelphia, and Sean Dunston to lead off the top of the second inning. Dunston, a lifetime .270 hitter against the Phillies, looking out at Kevin Gross. A couple of base on balls, an error and a base hit in the first inning. Kevin Gross really dug himself into a hole he couldn't get out of. After a spring where you give up 7 runs a game, you want to get off to a good beginning, but quite frankly, he's not throwing the ball the way we've seen Kevin Gross throw the ball in past years. 0-1 count on Dunston. Fouled off down the line. Let's talk about Washington baseball and baseball expansion, George. I know you have a vested interest in that area these days.
Well, I am an Orioles fan, and the Orioles draw about 20% of their trade from the Washington area. And the worry is, and I certainly share it, that if you have 2 teams dividing the Baltimore-Washington area, you'll have 2 weak franchises instead of the 1 strong franchise.
Dunston going down on strikes. That's what's plaguing the youngster, George. The fact that when he does get behind the pitcher, he's so over-anxious, he swings at most anything. That pitch over his head.
He has to learn to take a pitch. I think last year he only walked once in every 29 at-bats. That was the worst ratio of anyone in baseball, and it just means you're not taking enough bad pitches.
Jim Sunberg still subbing for an injured Jody Davis. They speculate 7 to 10 days for Jody.
That's a real shame because he only missed 19 games in all of last year and had his best year.
And it really hurts the Cubs not only for his offensive abilities, but his defensive prowess in throwing out base runners. 2-0 count on Sunberg. Jimmy still looking for his first hit.
I believe Davis may have been the only person to throw out Coleman last year.
Well, nobody threw him out yesterday.
Yeah.
He stole 4 bases. Long drive, well hit to left field. Mike Easler looks up. You can forget about it. This one is long gone. Home run, Jim Sunberg. And there was no doubt about that one. A good way to break in his first hit as a Cub. And that puts the Cubs on top 3-0 and another $100 from True Value Hardware to Cubs Care in Northwestern Memorial Hospital in the fight against cancer.
Again, Stevie's up in what is or is not the strike zone. That was another up pitch.
Popped up, center field. Milt Thompson coming over, and he makes the catch.
To go back to yesterday's game, I was down in South Florida watching you people on the cable. And I watched Coleman running wild and was thinking that Davis was the only person to throw him out twice last year in all of the National League. So he'll be missed.
Watch the home run swing one more time. A fastball up. Again, Kevin Gross with the back problems. Having trouble bending down, and if he stays up there, he's not long for this ball game. There's a look at Jody Davis, anxious to get back, but pretty happy for Jim Sunberg. And a fastball misses inside to Chico Walker, who led off the game with a base on balls and later scored on the single by Andre Dawson. This way. Both teams 0-2. The Phillies losing 2 against Atlanta in Atlanta. The Cubs losing 2 at home against St. Louis. And it's been all Cubs early. Fouled straight back. Good cut by Chico Walker.
Sunberg's home run was the 3rd Cub this year to have his first hit of the year be a home run, all with the bases empty.
Well, now if we can get a couple of bases on balls ahead of those home runs, they can even do some more damage. Atlanta at New York, 0-0 in the second inning. Good look from the center field camera. And a breaking ball hit hard down first base way. Vaughn Hayes to Kevin Gross. Cubs out of the inning, but not before they get a run on the Jim Sunberg home run. And at the end of 1.5, the Cubs on top, 3-0. Steve Stone and George Will back in Philadelphia, and Mike Easler to lead off the bottom of the second inning. Easler came over from the Yankees along with Tom Barrett for Charlie Hudson and Jeff Knox. That was December 11th of 1986. He's been a big addition to this ball club because he can swing the bat. You got to be impressed with his numbers.
All he has to do is be an adequate outfielder, and he's going to be just make this Phillies club even more scary at the plate.
Breaking ball misses low and in. Easler 6'1", 196 pounds. Born in Cleveland, Ohio, the birthplace of so many great athletes, George. Happens to be where I was born. And,
Name three more.
Well, Sal Bando, I know, is one. Breaking ball misses low. Mike now lives in San Antonio, Texas. Last year, hit .302 for the Yankees, 14 home runs, 78 RBIs. Went to bat 490 times. Fouls it straight back. Hits out of a low crouch, kind of unusual for a man with some power. And he's going to play every day. The Phillies platoon in center field, but they're not going to platoon in left field. They've got Chris James as well as Milt Thompson, right-hander and left-hander in center. And John Felsky thinks that Mike Easler can hit the left-handers and handle everyday play. 2-1. Fouled off to the left.
I think Phillies fans this year should come out prepared for long games.
Long games and a lot of offense, but a lot of trips to the mound for John Felsky.
When Clark Griffith owned the old Washington Senators, he said, "The fans like home runs, and we have assembled a pitching staff that will please the fans."
Forget about that. Way back. It's gone. Home run, Mike Easler, and no doubt about it. We talked about his power, and there's an example of it. The head of the bat out, and after that, nothing more that Andre Dawson can do but look up. Lance Parrish looks at a strike.
He had no doubts he's going to stand and watch it. And he had no doubts either, did he?
All Eddie Lynch can do is drop his head and worry about Lance Parrish. Foul back this way. Parrish enormously strong, as you can see by that picture right there. Some problems with his back. The Phillies don't think that it's going to be a continuing problem for him, but only time will tell. There are easier positions to play if you have a bad back than squatting behind the plate every day.
Until he came to the National League, Garvey had the biggest forearms. Now he's second.
No, it's close. Just missing outside on the 0-2 pitch. Gunn moves to 1-2. Outfield straightaway, very deep for Lance Parrish. A lot of intrigue in these negotiations that brought him over here.
Yes, the sports pages read like the antitrust division of the ABA this winter. It was
Threats of suits and countersuits and sign this and don't sue us, and if you don't sign this, I won't play.
Well, I want to say something on behalf of the Phillies management, because, you know, if a ball player, in the judgment of the commissioner, is not giving his all to win, he can be disciplined. Why shouldn't the same thing be true for management, which isn't doing all it can do to win?
I will agree with you, but there's a fine line in determination of that.
Yeah, so and on the other side of the line is bankruptcy, so it does concentrate your mind.
Couldn't check his swing. Lance Parrish talking to Bob Davidson, not very happy with that call. But the call will stand. Let's take another look at it. What do you think, George?
I think he got around.
As any fine Cubs fan will agree, that was definitely strike three.
I think when the tip of the bat's pointing at the third baseman, he got around.
No doubt about it. Glenn Wilson steps up looking for his first hit of the year, and he admits he's putting a lot of pressure on himself. He says he gets off to such a slow start every year, this year being no exception, that he keeps on pressing till he gets the first hit. The Cubs are hoping he gets it when they leave town 4 games from now. Count evens at 1-1.
Steve, do you agree with what Peter Gammon said in that article on the strike zone, that the strike zone has also moved outside a little bit?
Well, what happens is this, George. If you see the umpire and you look at the angle, he is actually squatting down with the inside chest protector between the hitter and the catcher, or he has a very good look at the inside corner. And Arnie will show us on this center field. You can see where the umpire sets up. Now, he's got a great look at the inside corner, but he really has to guess on the outside corner. So he's able to tell if that ball is an inch off the plate inside, but he can't really tell outside, and that's why it's expanded to the outer portion of the plate, but they're very tight on the inner corner. So I agree with Peter Gammons after that long, convoluted answer. Long drive to left field. The first hit of the year, and it's a home run for Glenn Wilson. And that cuts the lead to 3-2. And as you can see, this can be a launching pad, and Ed Lynch is finding it out early.
Inside, and there hasn't been one of these home runs that was cheap.
And you can't leave the ball over the inside corner to a man with the power of Glenn Wilson, and that's exactly what Eddie Lynch did. As Steve Jeltz looks out at Ed Lynch, who's trying to stem the tide. Jeltz hitting .294 lifetime against Ed Lynch. Not much doubt about it. Glenn Wilson goes right into the home run trot. He's got that down.
6 steps and they're in the home run trot.
Swing and a miss. Good fastball by Lynch.
It's a strange park here, because when you talk about a hitter's park on the rug, you usually think it's because the ground balls are going to get through the infield so fast. These balls aren't touching down before they get to the cheap seats.
Another swing and a miss. Well, you know, Frank Lucchese is the spy in the sky, and he helps position the defense for the Cubs. Sitting up a couple booths from us. I don't know if he wants to put one of the outfielders up in those seats back there, but if Eddie doesn't get the ball down, they might be better suited to do that. Swing and a miss. He strikes out Steve Jeltz. That will bring up Kevin Groves. Lynch had an ankle problem in spring training, and that pushed back his progress. He was running in some drills before the game turned the ankle. Didn't get quite as much work this spring as the Cubs would have liked him to. And they were hoping for about 5 or 6 innings out of him tonight. Breaking ball misses low and away.
Is there any truth to the old argument we've heard for years that training in Arizona, where the air is so dry and there's so little humidity, is a disadvantage?
Cents a day.
Our hero, a wanted.
Steve Stone and George Will pinch hitting for Harry Carey back here in Philadelphia. And on Channel 9, where there's a will, there's a way tonight. And George, I think you've shown the fans early that you know a whole lot about this game and that you really are quite a fan. You're very impressive, very knowledgeable about what's going on down there in the field.
I only think about politics in the off-season. A wise man once said there are really only 2 seasons. They're not winter, spring, summer, and fall. There's baseball season and the void. And during the void, he thinks about other matters.
Well, right now, Sandberg trying to fill the void for the Cubs. Drew a base on balls in the first inning. Swing and a miss on a good breaking ball outside.
Before we cut away, I'd asked you about whether or not there's any truth to the old argument that the ball doesn't move as much when pitched in the dry desert air. Is there any truth to that?
I don't think the breaking ball breaks as much, but I don't think it's much of a disadvantage because when you come north, sometimes you're surprised at how much you get on the curveball. I think a lot of players say that they don't sweat as much in Arizona as they do in Florida, so they don't feel they're getting the same kind of workout. But there have been a lot of world champions come out of Arizona, a lot of them come out of Florida, and it doesn't really mean much either way. I think you can take a lot of excuses as far as pitching is concerned. There's been a lot of guys with fast starts from Arizona and not, but I do think it is a fact that pitchers who are primarily breaking ball pitchers have some frustration in Arizona. They see their curveball go a long way over the fence. You can hit the ball a lot farther, and it just doesn't break as much.
Well, you played in Denver on the way back from Arizona this year. Did the pitchers talk about the ball in that mile-high air?
Well, there's no doubt the ball travels a whole lot more. Dave Martinez hit one over the center field fence in Denver, and Sandberg goes down on strikes. You know, we talked about expansion before, and I think if there's any team that richly deserves a franchise as far as a city goes, that has to be Denver. You think they'll get one?
Well, they've got a buyer waiting in the wings, and that's Marvin Davis, who's as rich as about 16 members of the UN put together. Very wealthy man, public-spirited, has Denver roots. He could, I have no inside information, but it does seem as though the Seattle Mariners are apt to be movable at the end of this year when they don't meet the attendance clause that'll get them out of their lease.
Andre Dawson takes a strike. You mean to tell me you don't think they're going to draw $1.8 million up there and fulfill that contract?
Not in this decade.
Well, they got $1.2 million last year, but I think they had all the aunts and uncles and everybody else coming out. We'll see what happens when this year ends.
The only way they could do that is if local businessmen get together and paper the house, frankly, buying the seats and giving them away. They had the Mets-Phillies exhibition game in Washington on Sunday before opening day. The Washington Post, I gather, bought 20,000 seats to help fill it up.
That'll put some people in the park. Well, Denver won't need that. I'm certain the first team that goes in there is probably going to be guaranteed around 2.5 million fans. I know we've got a lot of Cub fans in Denver, especially watching at Brooklyn's big Cub enthusiast bar out there. Sky to left field. Mike Easler coming over. This one is way up there. Easler puts it away. So 2 up and 2 down, and that'll bring up Keith Moreland. Final this afternoon, Detroit defeated the White Sox 11-4, and in the 5th inning, the Pirates won.
Channels by calling 1-800.
Harold Baines underwent arthroscopic surgery, a big loss to the White Sox. He's going to be lost for a few weeks. They don't know yet the extent, and hopefully he'll be back in the not-too-distant future. Moreland looks at a fastball down, hit a sacrifice fly in the first inning, knocking in the Cubs' second run. In the 3rd inning, Atlanta over the Mets 2-0. Breaking ball misses up high. You know, George, with Dwight Gooden going through drug rehabilitation and all the athletes in all the sports going through a lot of problems, do you think in the not-too-distant future we're going to see mandatory drug testing?
Well, it's hard to say because the Players' Union is not reconciled to this. And the Players' Union is a very tough, intelligent leader, just fair. So I wouldn't say that it's certain yet. I think the case for it is pretty powerful.
Wouldn't you think they'd have to, though, to maintain some sort of credibility? Because these guys are looked to as heroes. I think they would like to show the fans that, yes, they are indeed heroes and drug-free. I think it'd be a nice idea somewhere down the road. Well hit, but curving foul.
The amazing thing is, of course, that Dwight Gooden knew he was going to be tested and still didn't change his behavior. It's almost as though he was asking to be caught.
Well, I think that happens sometimes if the problem gets great enough. And the way the structure is right now, you're allowed to come forward once and ask for help. After that, drastic measures are taken, and a couple of basketball players have been banned for life from the game. Hopefully we'll never see it in this game.
Of course, a year ago, Peter Ueberroth pronounced baseball drug-free, so it's a very strong embarrassment to him.
Good fastball for a strike. The Cubs are down in order in the third inning. And we move into the bottom of the third with the Cubs holding a 3-2 lead. Milt Thompson to lead off the third inning. We're back at the vet. And expansion is a topic that just keeps coming up. And cities that are looking for teams and cities that are trying to buy teams. An interesting question, George.
Well, there are 26 teams right now, and a lot of people feel that what baseball is heading for is 32 teams some years from now, and then go back to 4 8-team divisions.
Ground ball right at Sunberg, and Thompson's retired. So he was 4 for 5 lifetime against Eddie Lynch, but he gets him this time.
Now, the question for Washington is, are there 6 teams that baseball might pick without coming to Washington? Because when you come to Washington, you're clearly going to hurt another existing team called Baltimore. And some people think that Phoenix, the Meadowlands outside New York, northern New Jersey, Miami, Tampa, St. Pete, Vancouver, and Denver are 6 teams that will be at the head of the queue before you get to Washington. If you look at Florida, Steve, at the end of this century, Florida is going to be the 3rd most populous state in the Union. For them not to have Major League Baseball in both Miami and Tampa strikes me as crazy.
One you didn't mention, I know a lot of fans down there pressing hard for it, Indianapolis, a big area that is trying to build some facilities. Of course, they have the football team now, and boy, a lot of teams bidding because, George, the amount of dollars infused into an economy in a major league city is just enormous.
I think Indianapolis, however, has a problem with developing the media market it needs, because they've got Cincinnati and 2 Chicago teams around them.
Juan Samuel looking out at Ed Lynch. Flied out to right field in the first inning. 2-2 count.
Latin Americans are such terrific baseball fans and providing so much talent to the major leagues. I should think that any Miami franchise would be able to sell a lot of its Spanish language broadcasts to the South.
Strike 3, a good breaking ball low and away. Samuel swung at one out of the strike zone. Lynch completely fooling him. Watch it one more time.
That's the sort of pitch that's supposed to have lowered the strike zone, because people started in the last 20 years throwing the ground pitches. The umpires moved the strike zone down with him.
That man struck out 142 times, and that low breaking ball is one of the reasons, George.
It had a last year's pace, too.
Vaughn Hayes grounded into force play in the first inning. Solo home runs by Easler and Wilson have cut the Cubs' lead to 3-2. Cubs have been out-hit 3-2, but they lead on the scoreboard. Good fastball inside. Looks right now, George, like both pitchers starting to get a little more comfortable after a rocky beginning.
Well, you're a pitcher and know about this. Does it help to go out and pitch a while to warm up in somewhat cool weather such as this?
I like cool weather because it keeps the pitcher strong, and if you get in on the hitter's hands, they don't like it very much.
Because of the sting on the bat.
Yes, sir. And if they catch one off the end of the bat, they can feel it 2 or 3 innings later. Line drive right at Sunberg, stays with it, makes the play. The Phillies are up, 3 up and 3 down in the third inning. Well, George, you go over to the radio side. Dwayne Stats is going to be joining me over here, and at the end of 3, Cubs on top, 3-2.
Hi again, everyone, and welcome back to Veterans Stadium. We move into the middle part of this ball game. It's a 3-2 contest with Steve Stone and our producer-director, Artie Harris. This is Dwayne Stats. Leon Durham steps in to face Kevin Gross and takes the first pitch down, ball 1. Kevin Gross, the 25-year-old right-hander, doing the pitching for the Phillies. Durham gets under this one and pops it back into center. Milt Thompson coming in, who's under the ball, and he makes the catch for the out. Well, Steve, we've seen a little fireworks here in the early stages of this one.
Kevin Gross looked very uncomfortable when the game started. He walked first too many faced Walker and Sunberg. Then he gave up the base hit and the sacrifice fly, but it looks like he's settled down some now. It looks like he's starting to get in a groove, and that's something the Cubs didn't want him to do early. They jumped on him not quite hard enough because 2 rockets off Eddie Lynch have got the Phillies back in the ballgame.
Here's David Martinez. Comes still, would like to see David get started. He was called out on strikes his first time. Ball 1. Chris Gross suffered through the disc problem all spring. He didn't pitch for the Phillies until the 15th of March. Martinez slaps it foul off to the left, 1-1.
Worst part about the disc problem was that it got down into his leg, started affecting his left leg, and he wasn't finishing off his pitching motion, and everything was up high. Now he says it's kind of like a dull ache. He says he can live with it, although he can feel it. And he looks like he's getting better with every passing inning.
1-1 is a strike on the inside part of the plate. So Martinez is behind Kevin Gross, 1-2. Comes with a 2-run first, another run in the second inning. Phillies 2 runs in their second. John Dunston will follow Martinez. Outfield pretty well spread out. Martinez is out on strikes. He was called out his first time. Tried to check on that pitch moving down and in. Got just a little piece of it, and Parrish hung on for the foul tip strikeout.
You know, sometimes this platoon system gets a little carried away. If you look back at the stats, Bobby Dernier, who did have 3 hits opening day, is 7 for 14 lifetime against Kevin Gross when he hit 500 against a pitcher. You got to be in that lineup, but they want to give Martinez a full shot, and he's had a tough night so far.
Here's Sean Dunston. He fouls the first one out of play for a strike. Base is empty, 2 outs for Sean. Dunston 1 out of 8 for the young season. Gross all set. Crowds him, and the count is 1-1. Same 2 clubs tomorrow. This is the first of a 4-game series. We'll be with you tomorrow night at 6 o'clock right here. Dunston late. The count is 1-2. Gross, probably more than any other young pitcher on this Philly staff the last couple of years, has held so much promise for them. They've had such high hopes that he could develop into a frontline starter and maybe be the guy in that rotation. The count goes to 2-2.
Well, last year he threw 141 2/3 innings for the Phillies, and that's durability. Only walked 94 men, struck out 154. Went to the mound as a starter 36 times. When you can get that kind of performance out of a youngster, you know he's strong enough to fit in your rotation.
Foul ball and off the fist. Fouled out of play.
You know, Dwayne, he falls into the same category as a lot of young pitchers with good physical tools. They have that tag potential. Some of them live up to it. Some of them get carried away, and they wind up trading him. Charles Hudson was one that they traded away. All kinds of potential, and Kevin Gross another one, but they decided to hang on to him.
He tries the 2-2 again to Dunston and runs the count full. Well, 2 years ago, he won 15 games with an earned run average of 341, and they really thought he was on the verge. And then last year finished 500 with an earned run average a little over 4. 3-2 to Dunston. Ground ball for Samwell at second. Throw to first in time, and that retires the side. 3 up, 3 down. We move into the bottom of the 4th with the score, 3-2 Cubs.
This copyrighted telecast is presented by the authority of the Chicago National League Ball Club, which has the right of approval of the announcers and is intended solely for the private, non-commercial use of our audience. Any publication, reproduction, retransmission, or other use of the pictures, descriptions, and accounts of this game without the express written consent of the Chicago National League Ball Club is prohibited. And we've got a network going tonight. WTVO in Rockford, WQAD in Moline, WCEE in Mount Vernon, WFFT in Fort Wayne, Indiana, WXIN in Indianapolis, Indiana, WCRG in Cedar Rapids, Iowa, and KDUB in Dubuque, Iowa.
We move into the bottom half of the fourth inning. And Mike Schmidt steps in to lead it off for the Philadelphia Phillies. Schmidt lined out to the Cub right fielder, Andre Dawson, on a hard hit ball his first time up. Ed Lynch on the hill, and here's the pitch. Ground ball foul outside of third, this time strike one. Well, Schmidt, who is 37 years old, 5 home runs shy of the 500 mark, and he said prior to the game tonight that he is approaching this season as if it were his last.
I think what's amazing about him, Dwayne, is that he's hit 442 home runs at home in a great hitter's park, 242 home runs at home, 253 home runs on the road. And this is as good a hitting park as there is in the league, and yet he's out-homered him on the road.
Lynch delivers. A little tight. The count is 1-1.
Now, do you think it's going to be his last year? Because I don't.
Boy, it'd be tough to see him walk away right now, as productive as he still is. He'd like to manage at some point. The pitch bounded to third, picked up by Moreland, and the throw is in time. I'll tell you, if Schmidt could manage and be his own third baseman, he might like that. That'd be a heck of a running start to your managerial career.
Pete Rose did it at Cincinnati. He was able to do both, although at this point he's kind of taken off that player's hat and gone into the managerial hat. But Mike Schmidt has the intellectual capabilities of doing just that. I think he has the intensity, and he might want to consider that in his last couple of years. Now, he said, though, that he respects John Felsky. He wants to win. He's going to do everything to try to win, and if the Phillies club wins, then John Felsky's going to stay around as a manager. So it's almost a catch-22 situation.
Here's Mike Easler. Pitch is a strike on the outside corner, strike one. Well, this guy really bounced around a long time before he finally established himself in the major leagues, and he did it on the strength of his hitting. Count is 1-1. We saw a prime example of that in the second inning when he belted the solo home run to get the Phillies on the scoreboard. Two balls and a strike now.
Talked to a lot of the Phillies before the game, and I mentioned to him Mike Easler, and to a man they said a variation of, that man can hit. I think he impressed everybody all spring with his ability to swing the bat.
Ball three. It's 3-1.
Anytime you give up a prodigious home run to anybody, the next time up, you got to believe it's going through Ed Lynch's mind. He still sees that ball clearing the seats in right field, and if he knows if he gets one on the inner half, it's liable to wind up there again.
He's behind 3-1. Picks up the corner there and run the count full. Pretty good 3-1 pitch.
Shaved off the outside corner. A good spot to throw it, and he'd like to make another one right there and maybe take a little something off this one.
One gone, base is empty. Ground ball for Sunberg. Over to Durham, and Easler's retired. So a nice job of pitching by Ed Lynch to come back and get Easler after falling behind on him.
Sandberg had some problems with that ball. It took a tough hop, and George Will, here for the first 3 innings, Wayne, informs me that the last time Sandberg made an error on AstroTurf was in the middle of 1985, 64 AstroTurf games ago. And you talk about a man that knows his numbers. George Will is a student of this game.
2 gone for Lance Parrish. Oh, and outside, ball 1. Parrish struck out on a disputed call in the second inning. Well, you go up and down this Philly lineup, especially you start with that number 2 spot and go through number 7. They have some very good hitting down the middle of that order. Off speed, misses, 2-0.
They're going to make some difficult times for National League pitchers. Take a look at the arms on this guy. He told me, in fact, I know Lance from the American League, if you'd like to go down and arm wrestle him after the game, he said that he'd be willing to take a shot at you.
The pitch is a strike, and it's 2-1. If you're going to arm wrestle this guy, you better be the guy to take a shot at him. And I don't mean that figuratively either.
Gene Michael enjoying some sunflower seeds, and Enjoying the way this ball club is looking at this point.
Nice pinch in there for a strike, and the count goes to 2-2. Now that's Lynch's game, pitching to spots, varying the speed of his pitches. He is 2-2 with Lance Parrish. Flying away to run the count to 3-2. Glenn Wilson, the on-deck hitter.
Herm Starrett felt that throwing Ed Lynch an opening day for Philadelphia might be easier for him to handle than the youngster Greg Maddux, which is why they use Maddux in relief against the Cardinals.
Nice pitch, strike 3 call, and that retires the side. 3 up, 3 down. That's 8 in a row retired by Lynch, and at the end of 4, Cubs on top, 3-2.
This is only the beginning. They won't stop.
Sunberg collected his first Cub hit back in the second inning, a home run. At the moment, that's the margin for the Cubs in this ball game. There's a strike, and the count goes to a ball and a strike. Gross, like Lynch, has retired 8 in a row following the home run. Strike call, 1-2. Cubs with a pair of first inning runs. They converted a couple bases on balls into runs, and then Sunberg hit the ball out in the second inning. 2-2 the count.
Lance Parrish looks very smooth behind the plate, but it wasn't always that way. When he first came up with Detroit, he was known as a boxing type catcher. He used to really bobble the ball around. Now, very smooth, very accomplished.
2-2 pitch, liner into center, a base hit for Sunberg. Thompson up with the ball out there. So Jim Sunberg is 2 for 2. A home run and a line single here opens the Cub fifth. And it brings Ed Lynch to the plate. Lynch, before stepping in, has taken a long look at John Vukovich.
Going to be difficult to sacrifice Jim Sunberg to second. A good third baseman in Mike Schmidt, a good first baseman in Hayes. So this is going to have to be an excellent bunt by Lynch.
Is around, bunts the ball foul up the first base side, strike 1.
I think the toughest thing that any pitcher has to do is sacrifice, but especially on AstroTurf, and especially with a guy with 10 gold gloves at third base.
Just another reason that if you can arrange it, if you have a fellow with a little speed in that 8th spot, it's nice to have him there.
Well, if they're convinced that Ed Lynch can make some contact, they might want to send Sunberg early.
Now the pitch, low, 1-1. There's Sunberg over at first. Harry Wendelstadt, the first base umpire tonight.
Lynch taking the long look down at John Vukovich. He might be given the sign, swing away if they charge you. A lot of times you'll see the pitcher draw the bat back and try to hit it through the drawn-in infield.
Lynch around a bunt, first base side. Hayes with a pickup, looks to second. He's going to have to go to third, and the Cubs get the job done as Hayes went to first to Samwell covering. So Sunberg into second base. Lynch successfully puts down the sacrifice. So the Cubs have a man at second and only one out. Here's another look.
This is a good bunt. He keeps it away from Mike Schmidt. Von Hayes comes in. He double clutches, looks at second. He's got no play. And the sacrifice is accomplished. And Eddie Lynch deadened that ball very well in the infield.
Here's Chico Walker. Walker with a base on balls and a ground ball to first. The pitch to him is a ball. Just missed upstairs, ball 1.
He came through with a big bunt in the 9th inning yesterday to keep the game alive. The Phillies are giving him the same thing on the right side. Both Von Hayes and Juan Samuel deep on the right side. If he lays down a bunt, they'd never get him.
Walker swings, and it's a fly ball back into right field. Wilson back, still back on the track. He makes the catch. Here's the tag by Sunberg. He'll go to third and will be there with 2 gone. Walker gave it a little ride, but Glenn Wilson, back near the 371 sign, just back on the track, hauled it in.
Well hit, but not quite enough. Wilson, an excellent right fielder, although he did make that error in the first inning. Something you just don't see him do very often.
Here's Ryan Sandberg. The Rhino 0 for 1 tonight with a walk and a strikeout and a run scored. Takes the breaking ball low and away, ball 1. That's the pitch a lot of the pitchers around the National League try to get Sandberg out on. 1 ball, 1 strike.
Especially when they get ahead of him. They love to go low and away, and with that in mind, Sunberg has got to come down the line at third because Gross has a big sweeping curveball, can throw it in the dirt on occasion, and the Cubs might be able to steal one here if the ball gets away from Parrish. Now a couple words by Bob Davidson out at Kevin Gross.
There's a light or something on, I think, that was distracting not only Bob Davidson, but perhaps Ryan Sandberg as well. It's back on again. There it is in the upper deck. So they're getting rid of that.
What light in yonder window breakest? Something like that.
Something.
Well, they ought to break it so that we can start playing.
All right, Sandberg's back in. Sunberg, the runner at third. Dan Gross shoots it home. Popped up foul. Back and out of play. 1 ball, 2 strike. That sounded as if it may have hit the Liberty Bell.
If you had a longer arm, you might have had a shot at that one.
Couple hits so far for Ryan Sandberg this year. 2 out of 7 officially. Look out. He's hit by that pitch. Sandberg hit by a 1-2 pitch. So he'll go to first, and that will give Andre Dawson a chance to bat here in the 5th inning. Here's another look.
This is supposed to be a setup pitch because he wants to go away with a breaking ball after knocking him back off the plate. Now, you know that no pitcher in this game wants to hit somebody to put runners at first and third to hit Andre Dawson. So he wasn't throwing at him, folks. But the pitch did get a little piece of Rhino.
Gross led the National League last year and hit batsmen with 8. So he has 1 tonight. And here's Andre Dawson. Now that fake to third and a look at first. Nothing doing out of that.
So would you say that Gross is well ahead of his pace of last year when he led the league?
Well, he's got a chance. Dawson goes after the first one, skies it foul. First base side, Von Hayes over there, but will not have a play. Strike 1. Dawson got the Cubs on the scoreboard with a first inning single. Collected his first Cub hit yesterday, a home run. In the same fashion that Jim Sunberg picked up his first Cub hit tonight, a home run.
Kevin Gross is starting to get the ball up, and if he gets it up and on the inner half to Andre Dawson, he's going to find himself 4 runs down instead of just 1. Dawson so far has had some pretty good cuts at Kevin Gross.
Gross again faking toward third. Well, Gross is getting up around that 80 pitch mark.
They said they let him go between 80 and 100 tonight because of that problem and his problems in spring training.
Runner goes. The pitch is low. The throw by Parrish not in time. So Ryan Sandberg has a steal. Samuel taking the throw. The count on Dawson goes to 1-1. Here it is.
Really no chance for Sunberg to come home from third. The throw is on the money at second base, but Sandberg a little too fast. And he's in there with a stolen base. And they've run pretty well against Lance Parrish.
3 steals on the night for the Cubs. 2 men in scoring position for Andre Dawson. 2 outs, 1-1 the count. Dawson, a rip and a miss, and the count is 1-2. So with Dawson down 1-2, we'll pause for station identification.
This is WGN Television, Channel 9, Chicago.
Gross has the sign from Parrish. Dawson with a tap by the mound. Samuel up with it. Throw to first is in time, and that retires the side. No runs for the Cubs. One hit, a pair left, and we go into the bottom of the fifth with the Cubs leading 3-2. We go into the Philly half of the fifth inning. Glenn Wilson will lead off. There's the story so far. Cubs leading 3-2. We have Ed Lynch and Kevin Gross hooked up in this one.
I got to believe that Kevin Gross is going to leave for a pinch hitter. The bullpen is up, just starting to throw for Philadelphia. Kevin Gross is at that pitch point where they don't want to hurt his back, and they've gotten a pretty good performance out of him so far, limiting the Cubs to just 3 hits.
Here's Wilson, who homered his first time, and he takes this one low and outside, ball 1. Wilson, 28 years old. He's been a pretty fair run producer for the Phillies since coming over from the Tigers. He lines this one foul. Wilson reaching out with the bat, his body one way and the bat the other way, and he lined that one foul.
I think could never understand why he was such a slow starter in the spring, but it happened again this year. Got his first base hit in the second inning. When he gets rolling, he's a tough hitter.
He swings and lifts a fly ball into left, catchable for Chico Walker, who makes the grab. So Wilson's the first out in the fifth inning. That's 9 in a row retired by Ed Lynch. And here's Steve Jeltz. Well, Unser spent a little extra time with Jeltz again this spring and trying to get any extra offense they can out of this young fella. Switch hitting shortstop. Foul down the left side, strike 1.
The Phillies do say, though, that if Jeltz hits anything at all, he'll be valuable to him if he just fields his position. And he's got a lot of range at shortstop, pretty dependable. And they feel with the offense that they have, if Jeltz can do the job with the glove, he can fit right into this order.
219 last year. Shot by third to the left of Moreland and into left for a base hit. So the Phillies pick up their 4th hit. A 1-out single by Jeltz.
And now Gross is going to hit, probably come up to bunt for himself. So they will set the bullpen down. They had 2 men up throwing. And I guess with a man on base and the ability of Gross to move him along, they're going to let him bunt for himself.
So here's Kevin Gross. 1 on, 1 out. Gross around a bunt, pushes it up the first base side, foul, strike 1. Gross with another look at Jim Davenport. Jeltz on his way back to first. Here's a good look at the young Philly right-hander. Strike the count on him. Cubs were able to advance the runner in the top half this inning, but he was left on. Phillies had Gross up there bunting. He takes this one too low. 1 ball, 1 strike. You're talking a moment ago, Steve, about this Philly lineup and the ability to carry Jeltz if he can hit just a little bit. Well, that's what that does for you if you have a lineup packed with the hitters such as the Phillies.
They've got enough firepower to carry a couple of guys who don't hit very well.
Gross pops it up. Sunberg digging hard. He can't get there. Sunberg into the Philly dugout, into the arms of Rick Shue.
He gets an assist, actually assisting on the help of Jim Sunberg, who wouldn't be quite as healthy if Shue didn't catch him. Watch this again. He can't hold up. Rick Shue to the rescue.
Now the count on Gross is a ball and 2 strikes now.
Final score, Baltimore 12, Cleveland 11.
Another one of those games for the
Nothing
Indians.
wrong with the offense. But the pitching a little suspect over there in Indianville.
Gross tries to bunt, fouls the ball. He's out on strikes. So Gross is not able to put down the sacrifice. That goes as a strikeout for Lynch. 2 gone in the 5th inning, and here's the top of the batting order, Milt Thompson.
The friendly fans in Philadelphia. A warm reception for Kevin Gross as he goes back to the dugout after that.
They don't have much patience. So with 2 gone, Schultz at first. Here's Milt Thompson. Thompson is 1 for 2 with a first inning single. Lynch misses, ball 1.
Bob Horner has signed a contract for 1 year for $1 million with the Yakult Swallows of the Japanese Central League.
The one thought that occurred to me when I heard that may happen, I wondered how Horner would like the Japanese spring training. The pitch, there's a strike, and it's 1-1. It's a little different.
It's as
than
intense
over here.
It's as intense as going to a factory job. I mean, they keep those guys out there from morning till night.
It's almost like spring football practice.
They work very hard. So Bob's not going to need a weight clause in his contract.
Ground ball, that's going to go through. Base hit. Schultz is on his way to third. Martinez up with the ball. The throw to Sunberg, and the Phillies have runners at first and third with 2 gone. Thompson on a 1-1 pitch grounds a single into center. That gets the Phillies down to Juan Samuel.
Right up the middle, and now Milt Thompson is 5 for 7 lifetime against Ed Lynch, and he's 2 for 3 tonight as he drives it back up the middle. Sometimes, Dwayne, when you have a guy's number, you just keep getting good swing after good swing at him.
Well, here's Samuel. Nothing out of 2 tonight. He swings and he misses, strike 1. Samuel struck out swinging in the 3rd inning. Struck out over 140 times last year. He has great physical ability. Power, speed, quickness. And Lynch is out in front, 0-2. They got him to chase that pitch low and away. And Lynch, the veteran, is out in front.
Well, now what you have to do is you have to throw a pitch in the same spot and tell your catcher, as he's talking right now to Jim Sunberg, I'm going to try to hit with 2 breaking balls away out of the strike zone, perhaps in the dirt. I want you to not think about the man going from first to second. Make sure the guy from third doesn't score, because this guy's going to swing at anything in the ballpark. Don't make anything too good, because Juan Samuel will get himself out.
2 strikes the count on him. Runners at first and third. Way outside. 1 ball, 2 strikes.
He won't swing at something that far outside. I was thinking a little something closer to the plate.
I thought Von Hayes might take a cut at that when he's standing in the on-deck circle. Lynch tries again. He got him. Swing and a miss. Samuel down on strikes, and that retires the side. No runs, 2 hits, 2 left. And at the end of 5, the Cubs are on top 3-2. We move into the 6th inning. Cubs hanging on to that 3-2 lead. They led 2-0, then 3-0. Phillies with 2 in their second, and it's been 3-2 since then.
You know, Dwayne, kind of a sad note here from Philadelphia. The Phillies had a promotion plan tonight. They were going to bring in a rocket man who was going to jump off the second deck with a rocket pack and kind of float gracefully into the infield. But the rocket man, Kenny Gibson, on a practice run yesterday, sustained a broken right heel bone and a broken bone in his right ankle during a test run. He just barely made it over the fence and collapsed on the warning track, so there was no rocket man in attendance tonight.
There for a while we thought we might be without the fanatic. He has a temperature of a little over 100 degrees. Keith Moreland lifts the first pitch back into center field. Thompson settles under it and makes the catch for the out.
Maybe the rocket man the Fanatic and John Felsky went to dinner at the same spot because all of them a little under the weather before the game tonight.
First baseman.
One gone. Here's Leon Durham. Talk about getting off to a great start. Milwaukee scored 8 runs in the first inning tonight at Arlington against Texas.
How about Darryl Strawberry, his 3rd home run in as many nights, and they've tied up their ball game at 3-3.
Pitch is high and outside, ball 1. I try to keep Jim Fry from calling Strawberry and talking hitting with him, but he just won't do it.
This might be the year that Darryl Strawberry hits those 40 home runs everybody's talking about.
1 ball, 1 strike now on Leon Durham. Durham's gone out to center field twice tonight, first time to the warning track. Pops this one foul. That's going to be out of play, and the count is 1-2. Gross is in the mid-80s now in pitches thrown. So the Phillies like to get at least another inning out of him. See if he can complete the 6th.
They've had some question marks in their middle relief also. Tom Hume's been in 2 ball games, and he had a real tough Atlanta. He got his hotel room burglarized also while he was down there.
Durham hits the deck, and the count is 2-2. Well, the Phillies let a 6-1 lead get away from them, and so they're very aware of some problems in the middle part of the ball game. It's going to be the real story for this ball club, how many innings they can get each night out of their starters. And Durham is caught looking. That pitch slipped over the outside corner. That's strikeout number 6. For Kevin Gross. Out number 2 in the 6th. There's another look.
Since the home run in the 2nd inning by Jim Sunberg, Kevin Gross has gotten his control together. Now here's a breaking ball that Bob Davidson said caught the outside corner. Might not look that way on your replay, but Davidson with the deciding vote.
And here's David Martinez. David nothing out of 2 with a pair of strikeouts. Ball 1.
You know, Dwayne, I'd like to see him make a decision to swing at a pitch if it's in a zone like middle of the plate in, and swing as hard as he can and try to break out of this. See how far he can hit the ball.
There's a fly ball into center field. Thompson will grab this one, and that retires the side. 3 up, 3 down. We go to the bottom of the 6th. Cubs 3, Phillies 2. In the bottom of the 6th inning, Von Hayes will lead off for the Phillies. So Ed Lynch will get down into the middle part of this Philly batting order. Von Hayes, Mike Schmidt, and then Mike Easler, protecting a 1-run lead. It's a 3-2 ball game.
Mark Giamatti, the new National League president, was in attendance before the game today to present Mike Schmidt with his Most Valuable Player trophy. He got an appreciative hand from the crowd. Very well liked in Philadelphia, but wasn't always that way. I remember early in his career, the fans didn't quite appreciate him as much in Philadelphia as some of the places he went on the road.
Well, Schmidt in his first full year struck out a lot and hit less than 200. He had a few detractors. The pitch is a strike call to Von Hayes, but all along, the baseball people here knew that Schmidt, if he ever did put it together, would be a heck of a player, and he has certainly done that. 5 home runs short of 500 for his career right now. 1-1 the count on Von Hayes. That's why when you see a young hitter the likes of a Juan Samuel or a Sean Dunston, even if they're a little undisciplined and chase a lot of pitches out of the strike zone, ball 2, it's 2-1. You have hopes that at some point they'll harness all that and be a little more patient, a little more selective, and let their physical ability take over.
I think Dunston looks a little more patient this year, but Samuel just keeps swinging at everything.
And ball 3 outside, 3-1.
Getting to the point where you're wondering a little about the stamina of Ed Lynch. He's thrown a pretty good ball game, held down the Phillies so far, but for the 2 solo home runs back in the 2nd inning. But this is a tough offensive club, and they do grind you down. They send a quality hitter to the plate every at-bat.
Foul ball out of play. By the time you get down to the number 8 spot, Steve Jeltz, it's almost like recess when you wade through the middle part of that Philly batting order.
The team is so similar to the Cubs in the middle relief problems that they're going to have this year. Question marks in the starting rotation, but a lot of punch in the offense.
There's a line drive into right field, and there for a base hit. Dawson keeps it out of the corner. Hayes goes for 2. The throw. They're going to get him. He's out at second base. A beautiful throw from Andre Dawson in right field to get Von Hayes. Wow, what a throw by Dawson. Here it is again.
6 gold gloves in that man's basement. Andre Dawson comes over. Von Hayes decides to challenge him. Not many men around the National League challenge this arm, and this is the reason why. The throw is right on the money. They cut down Von Hayes, and you're not going to see a better defensive play than this. Watch the throw one more time, and there's no doubt about it. He's out by plenty.
Johnson with the ball to slap the tag on Hayes. What a throw from the right field corner by Andre Dawson to get Von Hayes. 1 gone. And here is Mike Schmidt. Strike 1. Schmidt nothing out of 2. He's lined to right and is grounded out to third.
And is that a big play in this ball game with Schmidt, Easler, and Parrish due up? And there's a look at Dickie Knowles, who might have a clause in his contract for a bonus if he pitches every game this year.
Pitches inside 1-1. Well, he's got a good shot here in the opening days of the season.
And if he gets in again tonight, he will have been in all 3. Jack Rosenberg said it looked a little like Roberto Clemente going into that corner and coming up firing.
Well, you're not going to find a better throw from right field than that one by Andre Dawson. 2 balls and a strike to count.
And Jack can tell you about Babe Ruth going into that corner and coming up firing also.
You really don't like that stuff he's got in that pipe, do you?
That essence of C-Rod is getting to me late.
This pitch gets away, and the count goes to 3-1. Ed Lynch, the veteran right-hander. Lynch divided time in the bullpen and as a starter last year for the Cubs, 4-4 as a starting pitcher with a .422 earned run average and 3-1 out of the bullpen with an earned run mark of less than 2. Uh-oh. She's gone. Mike Schmidt on a 3-1 pitch lines it out of here to tie the game, and that leaves him just 4 shy of 500.
Well, we talked about the concern of the stamina of Ed Lynch, and so far 2 men up and 2 rockets here in the 6th. And on a night when he's presented the MVP trophy, a fitting way to greet the home folks with a line drive home run off the bat of Mike Schmidt. Watch it again, a fastball low and in. Schmidt doesn't miss these too often. Nothing for Chico Walker to do but look up. Watch the swing one more time. What power this man has.
Fans are calling Schmidt out. The wave of the helmet. 496 for Mike Schmidt. And the game is tied 3-3. Hit number 7 for the Phillies. And changing that sign out there. Mike Easler, who homered in the 2nd inning, takes the pitch low and away, ball 1.
It's a 4th home run that Mike Schmidt has hit during his career off Ed Lynch. Puts him 1 behind Lee Smith and Scott Sanderson with a team lead in Schmidt home runs.
Easler, thinking about the long ball, was out in front. Missed the off-speed pitch. So the count stands at a ball and a strike.
It's a little like Oscar Gamble crouched over like he does. You don't see too many power hitters get down that low, but Gamble did and hit low pitches very hard, especially in the inner portion of the plate. Easler, the same kind of hitter.
There's a popper on the left side, and Dunston Into the outfield. Makes the catch. Just foul. So Easler fouls out. 2 gone. And here's Lance Parrish. Well, that throw by Andre Dawson, even more important now because it's a tie game in what otherwise may have been a 1-run deficit for the Cubs. Parrish nothing out of 2 with a pair of strikeouts. He lines one into left. Walker is there to make the catch, and that retires the side. In the 6th, a run on a pair of hits. Nobody left. We're through 6. George will be rejoining us. And the score is all even, 3-3.
In addition to following the Cubs on WGN-TV, the best way to keep up with the latest Cub news is to subscribe to Vineline, the official newspaper of the Chicago Cubs. Vineline delivers 12 monthly issues for only $15.95. It's the ultimate source of information for every Cubs fan. To subscribe, send your check or money order for $15.95 to Cubs Vineline, Post Office Box 592, Prospect Heights, Illinois, 60070. Sean Dunston to lead off the top of the 7th inning. Kevin Gross still on the mound. And he throws a fastball high and away. Sean's 0 for 2. He struck out swinging in the 2nd, grounded to second base in the 4th. Dunston hitting .270 lifetime against the Phillies. Outfield straight away. And he pops this one up down the first baseline. Von Hayes going over by the tarp, and he can't make the play. Cubs got on the board early. 2 runs in the 1st inning. They came back with a solo run in the 2nd. The Phillies countered with 2 solo home runs in the bottom of the 2nd inning, and it stayed that way until the Phillies tied it up, courtesy of Mike Schmidt's solo home run in the bottom of the 6th. So we stand tied at 3-3. Cubs have been out hit 7-3. The only error in the ball game belongs to the Phillies, and that was Glenn Wilson in the 1st inning. And a breaking ball misses inside. Bob Davidson telling Kevin Gross that it curved around the plate. Good fastball outside. Dunston expanding his strike zone, and that evens the count at 2-2. Steve Stone back along with George Will, taking you through the 7th, 8th, and 9th inning. And the Cubs trying to get something going. Fouled away. Well, you had a chance to do some radio. You saw how life was like on the other side. What do you think's the big difference?
You have to talk more over there. But then they got 3 people over there to fill the time, which is a help.
To be a little bit more descriptive, huh?
And a little less imaginative in a way. You have to tell all that accuracy over there. Here, of course, you have the pictures carrying the game, but also checking up on you.
Line drive center field. Over the head of Steve Jeltz, a base hit for Dunston, takes the big turn at first, and Milt Thompson gets it back in. So a good start to the 7th inning. Well, it's a good thing you called ahead and told me you were going to wear the yellow sweater so I could wear this color-coordinated brown jacket and we could fit in pretty well up here.
That's a requirement on television. David Brinkley says that he saved all television newsmen from having to wear blazers because sometime in the 50s when television news was just getting started, an NBC vice president came down and said, I got this terrific idea. I'm going to put you guys in blazers. And Brinkley said, you have a terrible idea and you're not. Otherwise, all the anchormen would be wearing blazers.
Dunston leads away at first, and Jim Sunberg, having a good night, steps up. 2 for 2, a homer in the 2nd, a single in the 5th. And he gets out of the way of a fastball inside. Well, so far we've had Brent Musburger, we've had Mike Royko. Both of them are 0-1. Now you've got a chance to go 1-0 here if the Cubs can put something together. And if you do go 1-0, they might have to have you back.
Have to keep coming back till they lose.
Quick throw to first, Dunston back. Tomorrow night, George Wendt and Danny Breen will be joining me in the booth. Sunday afternoon, it's Bob Costas, and Monday night, Ernie Harwell, courtesy of the Detroit Tigers. So we're looking forward to the rest of the Phillies series. Wednesday, it's going to be Pat Summerall, and Thursday, Harry, I know you're watching, but your son Skip is going to join us in the booth. Should be an interesting Thursday. Runner going. Great hit and run through the hole. Dunston around second base. Glenn Wilson up with the ball. The Cubs work it to perfection, and they've got runners at the corners. Nobody out.
They can play this at a clinic for coaches. Hits the ball right through the vacated spot.
That sets the bullpen to work for Philadelphia. Right-hander and a left-hander up for the Phillies. And Jerry Mumphrey to pinch hit for Ed Lynch. The Phillies got to Lynch a little in the 6th inning. They hit the ball very hard. A base hit, a great play by Andre Dawson, throwing out Vaughn Hayes, trying to stretch it into a double. A home run by Schmidt, a line drive by Parrish. So that's it for Lynch, and the Cubs are trying to make a winner out of him as Jerry Mumphrey steps in. And he chops the ball to the right side. Over to second for one. No play at first base, and the Cubs go on top as Sean Dunston scores the go-ahead run, and it's an RBI for Jerry Mumphrey.
Mumphrey is just one of the good pinch hitters in baseball. He batted .345 as a pinch hitter last year.
Another look at it, you see only one play at the force out second base. You know, that's one of the reasons why the Cubs could trade Thad Bosley, because of Jerry Mumphrey's ability to hit the ball off the bench. Swing and a miss by Chico Walker. Threw a base on balls in the first inning, scored a run. He's 0 for 2 tonight.
The old cliche about baseball, and it's Ted Williams, is that the hardest thing in sport is to hit a round moving ball with a round bat, but to do it when you've been sitting on the bench cold just makes it that much harder.
Mumphrey with a short lead at first. Line drive, left field, base hit, just over the outstretched glove of Steve Jeltz. And the throw behind Mumphrey, but he's back. So Chico Walker aboard with his first base hit. The Cubs now have 6. The Mets in Atlanta tied up 3-3 in the 6th inning. Milwaukee, on the strength of 8 runs in the first, leads Texas 8-2 in the 2nd inning. And Ryan Sandberg, who was hit by a pitch last time up in the 5th inning, steps in. Cubs have runners at first and second, only one out, and here comes John Felsky. Well, you've seen enough to know that these Cubs can be an exciting ball club with their offense this year.
They not only hit the ball, but they run well. Over on the radio side, I was having a decorous gentleman's disagreement with Jim Fry about the importance of running and speed and singles and defenses against the 3-run home run.
You know, that was always, as well as Jim Fry's philosophy, Earl Weaver's philosophy. And we'll be back with more after these messages.
Elizabeth Taylor, Rock Hudson, and James Dean in the screen epic Giant.
Are they all on?
He's and 49,000 others just like him.
He defended the cattle empire against the boom of Texas crude.
Yesterday, earned run average of 6.75. Threw an inning and a third yesterday, gave up 4 hits, 2 runs, 1 of them earned. Struck out 1, didn't walk anybody. Needs to be excused if he's a little rusty. Went home, lost 5 days. We'd like to wish everybody in the Tekulve family our condolences. The passing of Kent Tekulve's mother. So we left the ball club for 5 days and came back through yesterday, and he's back in action today in a very difficult situation. The Cubs have runners at first and second, only 1 out. Tekulve on in relief of Kevin Gross, who didn't do a bad job, but seemed to tire a little here in the 7th inning. Getting back to the 3-run homer as opposed to the stolen base and speed. You know, George, I think it depends a lot on the type of park you have at home. If you're in St. Louis or Kansas City and try to live with a 3-run homer, you're not going to finish well up in the pack.
That's true, but what I like about Speed was put well by Frank Robinson, who's now a coach for the Orioles. Of course, he's the only man to win the most valuable player award in both leagues, and a man certainly who had all the power in the world. But he says speed is the only thing that you're guaranteed to come to the ballpark every day. 3-run home run's going to stay home someday. And when you look at how the speed makes an infielder hurry, an outfielder hurry his throw, it just puts everyone on edge, makes the pitcher nervous, and all of that's to your advantage.
And yet as fast a ball club as St. Louis has year in and year out, they steal 200 bases. They won when Jack Clark came to their ball club and provided one thumper for them, and this year they have Jim Lindemann in their lineup hoping that he can do the same. If you can get a blend of both, I think you've got yourself a contender, certainly.
Of course, the speed, having a speedy runner on base makes the slugger a better slugger.
There's no doubt about that. And that's Vince Coleman getting on at the top of the order and making sure some of the other hitters, the better hitters, see fastballs instead of breaking balls. Sandberg with a look out at Kent Tekulve. Fastball misses inside, 1-0. Outfield straight away. Milt Thompson not very deep in center field. Mike Easler straight away left. Again, Easler's first game on AstroTurf. It hasn't come into play yet, but he hasn't had a hard hit ball bounce at him yet. 2-0 count. Ryan Sandberg looking down at John Vukovich. Andre Dawson in the on-deck circle.
And this is just the hitter to do it. To hit one to Easler.
Sweeping, breaking ball catches the outside corner. Four, 6-0 for the Cubs, 3-7-1 for the Phillies. We're in the top of the 7th inning. Broken bat, little looper to Steve Jeltz, some bad base running on the part of Jerry Mumphrey, and that's it for the Cubs. But they pick up a run on 3 hits. No errors and 1 left. A tough way to end the inning, and we head into the bottom of the 7th with the Cubs on top 4-3.
It's only the beginning, very well.
Dickie Knowles comes on in the bottom of the 7th inning, taking over for Ed Lynch, who threw 6 innings, gave up 3 runs on 7 hits, didn't walk anybody, and struck out 6, and there's a look at Dickie Knowles. He's facing Glenn Wilson, who homered in the 2nd inning, flied out to left field in the 5th. And Knowles on for the 3rd time in as many days. Falls behind 2-0. He's getting a lot of work early, George.
Well, this is the time of year I suppose you want to do that.
3-0 on Glenn Wilson. Fastball misses up high.
Such a history in the last 20 or 30 years in baseball of burning up good relief pitchers. I suppose the clearest example you had was right here in Philadelphia in 1950 when they had Jim Constanti, got him all the way to the World Series and burned up in about 2 years.
Steve Jeltz, 1 for 2. Squares as if the bunt takes a strike. You know, George, I think that's what separates all managers. Everybody knows when to bunt, everybody knows when to hit and run, but the ability to handle your pitching staff and your bullpen separates the men from the boys. The real good managers keep their guys strong all through August and September. You burn them out early, you got nothing left later in the year. Squares as if the bunt again, takes one up, and that evens the count. Steve Jeltz looking down at Jimmy Davenport at 3rd. Del Unser, the coach, at 1st. Phillies with a man aboard, nobody out, and a quick throw to 1st, but Wilson back. 2-1 count. Frank DePino and Lester Lancaster up in the bullpen for the Cubs. And I don't think that Gene Michael is going to be too patient with Dickie Knowles. Keith Moreland comes in, spend a little time to give that bullpen a chance to get loose, and we'd like to welcome Bill Taff of Sports Illustrated here doing a piece on George Will's appearance. How is your appearance?
We'll read about it in Sports Illustrated.
Well, he appears to be just fine to me. Jeltz fouls it off, a 2-2 count. Keith Moreland in very close at third. He still doesn't believe that Jeltz is going to swing away. Infield halfway, looking for the double play. And Kent Colby in the on-deck circle, but the bullpen is busy for Philadelphia. That misses outside. A full count now on Steve Jeltz. And if John Felsky has confidence that Jeltz can make some contact, he's going to send Glenn Wilson. What do you think, George? You're the manager. What do you do?
Let's start the runner.
Okay. John Felsky, you heard it up here. Let's see if he goes. Goes a little early, and they got him picked off. Durham to Dunston. Back to Durham, and they get him. Well, see what happens when you start him too early, George?
Yeah.
A wise decision, though, because
It was.
I think he should have been running also. He just ran a little too early.
Well, it's also a good piece of pitching by the Cubs.
Absolutely. Good pickoff move, and that gets Dickie Knowles at least temporarily out of a hole. The tying run taken off the bases, and a full count on Jeltz. Chopper up the middle, good play by Knowles. He'll take it himself, flipping to Durham, and 2 out. Well, one little mental mistake, and it turns around the whole inning. Dickie Knowles under a lot of pressure. The bullpen busy for the Cubs. He looks like he's one pitch away from going into the dugout. And now, nobody on, 2 out, and a pinch hitter due up for Kent Colby. It's Rick Shue.
Do you think that on a rug like this, you have to start the runner because the ball's going to get to that second baseman so fast anyway?
I think he was convinced that Jeltz wasn't going to strike out. And you got to play aggressively. John Felsky knows he's got a pretty good ball club as far as contact is concerned. And he's got some guys who can run. Wilson has better than average speed. It was a good play, just some bad base running. 0-1 count to Shue. And a swing and a miss on a good breaking ball. Rick Shue's first at bat of the 1987 season. He's been in one game, but that is a defensive replacement. Another breaking ball fouled back. St. Louis at Pittsburgh. That game tied up 3-3 in the bottom of the 9th. Still 3-3. Atlanta at New York. That game in the top of the 7th. San Diego and Cincinnati. 4-3. Going into the bottom of the 6th at Cincinnati, the Reds on top. Just missing outside. Houston on top of Montreal, 5-0. That game in the bottom of the 4th inning in Houston. San Francisco and L.A. a little bit later. Kelly Downs, Alejandro Pena. Two count on Rick Shue. Breaking ball misses down, and the count goes full. Milt Thompson on deck. Outfield straight away, fairly deep for Shue. Ground ball to shortstop, right at Dunston. He's got it easily, fires across, and the Cubs are out of the 7th inning. So Dickie Knowles does the job, and at the end of 7, the Cubs on top 4-3. Between Reading, Portland, and Philadelphia with the Phillies, he appeared in 9 games, a .338 earned run average, only threw 13 1/3 innings, 12 hits, and 4 runs. He's got a good fastball. Goes out, talks with Lance Parrish, and he's got to hold the Cubs right here and give his offense a chance to come back. So it's going to be Dawson, Moreland, and Durham to face Michael Jackson in the top of the 8th inning. Well, you've been up here for 7 innings now. How'd you like to do this for a living?
I love it. Absolutely love it.
Now, you can't tell anybody that it's not that difficult because we've been telling them over the years that this is a tough job.
It is a tough job. In fact, between innings, I was asking you how you prepare for this. And you're probably too modest to say, so I'll say it for you. You come out 3 hours in advance to the ballpark. You talk to the coaches and managers. You talk to the other ball players. You talk to the reporters to keep current. By the time the game starts, you have to have it all in your head.
And hopefully you can get it out on cue, which sometimes is a little bit harder to do than normal.
I'm writing a book. I'm just beginning to write one about Cal Ripken, who strikes me as about the smartest ball player. Of course, he's a baseball brat. Grew up in the Orioles family. His father's now the manager of the Orioles. And if you watch him in a game, he sends the signal, I called what kind of pitch it's going to be, with a hand signal behind his back to the Orioles outfielders on every pitch. He signals the second baseman on every pitch as to who should cover second when there's a runner on first. And I asked him the other night, I said, why are you doing this? A lot of shortstops, a lot of infielders don't do that for the outfield. He said, all that information's in front of you, you might as well use it. Because again, in baseball, it's that tiny edge over 162 games that makes the difference.
3-1 count on Dawson. I'll tell you another reason why he does signal the outfielders, George, is on a breaking ball. If the outfielder knows it's going to be a breaking ball, they know more times than not the hitter's going to pull it, and they might get that extra step that lets them run down the fly ball.
Cal says it isn't even just a matter of a step, it's just a matter of leaning in the right direction to make all the difference.
Well, the Orioles, through the last 25 years, have been the winningest team in baseball, and one of the reasons they have is a winning tradition built up through doing the little extra things it takes. And over 162 games, with the talent pool the way it is all around baseball, the teams that lose the games really are the teams that are eliminated. Very few times will you bludgeon a ball club, but the nuances of the game, the little things over the long haul, separate the winners from the losers.
As Tommy Lasorda likes to say, the best team in baseball is going to win 2/3 of its games. The worst team's going to lose 2/3 at the middle third that you're contesting.
Keith Moreland looks out at Michael Jackson, and he takes a fastball inside.
Moreland's another example of it. That's a Baltimore Oriole. If he didn't want to play for the Cubs, that is, he's a guy who hates to lose. He's good in the clubhouse. That's the other place the guys play when they live together. For 162 games, someone has to have a winning attitude. He just hates to lose, and that's Moreland.
Throw to first. Dawson back.
The Cubs traded, or actually got him as a free agent this winter, for Ray Knight. The Orioles did, sorry, to get him at third base, but also to get Ray Knight and his combative attitude in the clubhouse.
He had a home run for them yesterday. Another quick throw to first. Jackson making sure that Dawson doesn't take too many liberties down there. Moreland, a very good hit-and-run man, and with the good speed of Dawson, Gene Michael might be tempted to take a shot. Let him shoot it through the right side. Once again, the throw to first. Moreland with a sacrifice fly in the first inning, knocked in the second Cub run. He struck out and flied to center field. Keith, 286 lifetime against Philadelphia, says he likes to hit in this park, especially at night. He can see the ball pretty well. Breaking ball for a strike. You know, Moreland does not run very well. You do have the run lead, George. To stay out of the double play, do you hit and run in this situation?
I would.
Well, he's taking a look down at John Vukovich. Now we'll see what manager Gene Michael decides. Leon Durham in the on-deck circle. Moreland, a very good situational hitter. Runner holds. Ball yanked foul down third base way. What do you say the crowd is tonight? Upwards of 40,000?
I think they may have got over 40,000. They came in. Maybe they're coming over after the basketball game across the street.
Michael Jordan playing some hoops right across the way against the 76ers.
I'll bet it's 43,218.
Good, yes.
What is it?
I don't know. We haven't gotten it yet.
Write it down.
Okay, you say 43,218.
Yes.
Arnie says 37,000. He says he's got $2 on it.
I'll take that bet.
Good lead at first by Dawson. Runner holds, and Moreland goes down on take another look at it. What do you think, George?
Cool.
Good hard slider low and away from Moreland. And that'll bring up Leon Durham, who's 0 for 3. He's flied out twice and struck out in the 6th inning. Outfield straight away, fairly deep for Durham. Michael Jackson, the 3rd Philadelphia pitcher on the mound. And a quick throw to first base. Swing and a miss by Leon Durham. Jackson, a product of the Philadelphia farm system. He was his 2nd pick in the January 1984 free agent draft. Pretty quick rise through the farm system. First year at Spartanburg and A-ball. Last year, 3 stops on his way to the Phillies, and he made the ball club out of spring training. Used primarily as a starter his 2nd year in Double-A at Peninsula. But then the Phillies moved him into the bullpen, and he stayed there the last couple of years. Just missing outside, 1-1 count.
Well, I'm told, I can't believe it, the attendance is 43,212.
Well, you were 6 off. I don't know, is this a setup? Arnie says the $2 are in the mail. 43,212. George Will has predicted it within 6 people.
Well, I didn't see those 6 guys who were out getting hot dogs. Not my fault.
You used to guess weights in the carnival? Good lead at first by Dawson. The fastball misses down. The Cubs are 3 for 3 in stolen bases tonight. And with a 2-1 count, this is the count you look at for some action. Fans really getting going here. Good throw once again to first.
I don't think the fans are interested in the game. They're doing that stupid wave.
Couldn't agree with you more wholeheartedly. Fly ball well hit to center field, but plenty of room. Milt Thompson comes over, makes the catch. 2 out in the 8th inning. So Leon just a little under that ball, and that'll bring up Dave Martinez, who's had a tough night. He struck out in the 1st inning, struck out again in the 4th, and flied out to center field to end the 6th inning. Let's pause for station identification.
This is WGN Television, Channel 9, Chicago.
Dawson aboard at first base, 2 outs. Steve Stone along with George Will. Here at the Vet in Philadelphia, the Cubs trying to win their first game of the 1987 season. Breaking ball misses down. George, you've been a Cub fan for so many years, a member of the Emo Bourbon Society. Who's your favorite Cub?
Ernie Banks. Not even close. Oh, yeah.
Far and away.
Far and away. I was very partial to Sam Jones also. Sad Sam with the toothpick in his mouth.
Very close at first base. Harry Wendell stood on the call. The fans wanted the call to go the other way, but the arm of Dawson in just under the tag of Von Hayes. Watch it again. A little closer than Andre Dawson might have wanted.
Dawson was looking at the umpire to find out.
And it's a final. Pittsburgh has defeated St. Louis 4-3. So St. Louis now goes to 2-1. San Francisco off to a rolling start. They're 4-0. Houston 3-0. Winning again tonight. Cincinnati and Atlanta 2-0 coming into tonight's action. Runner going. Here's the throw to second. It's low. Dawson in with a stolen base. That's the 4th stolen base of the night for the Cubs, and Parrish hasn't thrown out anybody yet. Good pickup by Steve Jeltz, and he can't get the sliding Andre Dawson.
I think they'd have had him with a good throw.
Been questionable. Cubs up by 1, 4-3. They've been out hit 7-6. And Dave Martinez trying to add to that lead. Very shallow for Martinez in the outfield. Breaking ball misses outside. Count goes to 3-0. Sean Dunston in the on-deck circle. Now they're going to walk David Martinez. Take their chances with Sean Dunston. You know, there's an interesting story about Cal Ripken. As you said, you were going to write something about him. He came up and really struggled, and I believe it was Mike Moore from Seattle who hit him in the head so hard that it broke the helmet in the shape of a baseball. He sat out a couple days. When he came back, instead of being intimidated, he started to hit the ball, and he hasn't stopped since. And it takes a lot of intestinal fortitude after being beamed as hard as he was to get back in and not show any signs of it. And Ripken did that. It showed me that he was going to be a great one. Dunston checks his swing, 2 on, 2 out, trying to add to that 4-3 Cub lead. There's a look at Ed Lynch, and that's what a lot of pitchers will do after leaving the game. Ed Lynch has not left the bench. As you can see, he's trying to root home the Cubs. Dunston 1 for 3. Singled and scored a run in the 7th inning. Breaking ball, and he couldn't check his swing. A good hard slider.
A picture of Lynch with the ice on his elbow just underscores the fact what a difficult vocation pitching is. It's the only job in sport where you decide professionally to go out and injure yourself once every 4 days, 4 or 5 days.
And your professional life depends on a 10-pound appendage that can go at any time. It's a precarious position, but it's a great way to make a living. Swing and a miss by Dunston. Another good breaking ball by Jackson. Dunston looking down at John Vukovich, and when you're in this situation, the only signal can be hit the ball hard someplace and let's get some more runs. Jim Snyder, the coach at first, talking to Dave Martinez. Strike 3 call. Jackson pulls him, and the Cubs are out of the 8th inning. No runs, no hits, no errors, and 2 left. We head into the bottom of the 8th with the Cubs on top 4-3.
I've read my last
Steve
book.
Stone along with George Will back at the vet in Philadelphia. The Cubs trying to protect a 1-run lead. Dickie Knowles on the mound, and the Cubs have made a defensive replacement. Manny Trio has gone in to play third base. There you look at the situation so far. The top of the order due up for Philadelphia. Thompson, Samwell, and Hayes. The Cubs 6 outs away from wrapping up their first win of 1987. And there's Tug McGraw, one of the real popular Phillies from years past, an original New York Met.
Author of perhaps my favorite baseball quote. After the World Series, one of the World Series they won, they said, "What are you going to do with the money?" He says, "90% of it I'll spend on wine and women, and I'll probably waste the other 10%.
He's a character. Good fastball for a strike to Milt Thompson, who was 2 for 3 against Ed Lynch. Another good fastball for a strike. Eddie Lynch went 6 innings. Gave up 3 runs on 7 hits. Didn't walk anybody. That was the secret to his success tonight. He struck out 6. He's the pitcher of record for the Cubs. Breaking ball misses down. Dickie Knowles in for his 3rd time in 3 games. Trying to hold off the Phillies. Outfield shaded toward left center field for Thompson. Pushes him back with a slider, and the count evens at 2-2.
It's such a temptation for a manager when he has a relief pitcher he's got confidence in, just to keep going to him. Earl Weaver did that last year with...
Chopper down third baseway. Manny Trio, bare hand pickup, throw to first. They got him! What a play by Manny Trio.
Doesn't that make a manager look good? You can't say Keith Moreland wouldn't have got this, but you have to say Trio did.
Off-balance throw, and they just barely get him at first. Look at it one more time. And you're right, George. A manager looks pretty good when he puts in a man for defense and makes a tough play like this right off the bat. Juan Samuel 0 for 3 against Ed Lynch, and he looks at a fastball for a strike. Outfield very deep for Samuel. Off to a very slow start this year, but always dangerous. Very powerful man. You don't see the Cubs defensive on AstroTurf too often, but the addition of Andre Dawson, George, what a throw he made from right field. And that's the difference in this one, because after he cut down Vaughn Hayes in the 6th inning, Mike Schmidt comes up, hits a home run, would have tied the ball game. Instead, the Cubs are 1 run up.
All these guys are such good hitters. There's no such thing as a safe lead here. Samuel is the first player, by the way, in the history of baseball to be in double figures in doubles, triples, home runs, and stolen bases in each of his first 3 seasons.
And that shows you the talent that he does have. 5'11", 170 pounds. It's a rope right at Trio. Fires across to get him.
This next out is 5-3.
Gene Michaels going to Atlantic City right after the game. That brings up Vaughn Hayes, who's 1 for 3, was out at second base trying to stretch a single into a double because of the rocket arm of Andre Dawson. 2 up, 2 down here in the bottom of the 8th inning. Fastball misses away. Atlanta and the New York Mets still tied up. They're heading into the bottom of the 8th in New York with the score. No, it's now 5-3. Excuse me, the Mets have added 2 runs. So that's a 5-3 game in New York. Van Dykstra hit a home run with a man on in the 7th inning. So the Mets trying to go 3-0. Good breaking ball for a strike. 1-2 count on Hayes. Mike Schmidt on deck. Popped up. Dave Martinez. Easy play for him, and he puts it away. 3 up and 3 down for Dickie Knowles and the Cubs. We're through 8. The Cubs hold a 1-run lead, 4-3.
I'm Matthew Broderick. We all know that AIDS can threaten any one of us. And I wish I could tell you we have a cure for AIDS. But of course we don't. Scientists are trying hard to come up with the answers and a vaccine. But with our help, their work can move faster. Please join me in supporting the American Foundation for AIDS Research. We can and will overcome AIDS. The only question is, how soon? Write AIDS Research, New York 10116.
Too bad, Bob.
Party at my place.
Hey, I'll buy the food. You? Why this late? One of those 76 self-serve marts. They're bigger than ever.
Do they have hot dogs there, Mark?
Tacos?
Pizza? Chips and dips?
Everything from gas to groceries.
Hey, pizza.
Soda.
Nachos.
Baby food, Junior?
No thanks. No money.
No problem. Your 76 credit card.
Go with the spirit.
Hey, Bob, what you buying? Aspirin?
The spirit of 76.
How many times has life handed you a line of baloney?
Baloney? Baloney. Baloney.
At Baker Square, we have a new line of hot sandwiches, and that's...
No baloney.
just lean beef and tender chicken, fresh vegetables and cheeses on our grilled breads and rolls. Our new Baker Square sandwiches are so satisfying, you might not even want a slice of our famous pie.
Baloney.
Elizabeth Taylor, Rock Hudson, and James Dean. The Academy Award-winning Giant. Sunday night at 6 on Channel 9.
A participating advertiser in Cubs baseball is Pepsi, the choice of a new generation.
Jim Sunberg to lead off the top of the 9th inning. Steve Stone along with George Will here in Philadelphia. And there you look at Sunberg, who's had a whale of a night. Hit a home run in the 2nd inning, a solo job. He singled in the 5th. He singled again in the 7th inning, a perfectly executed hit and run, which set up the RBI by Jerry Mumphrey. So the Cubs don't have a lot of hits. They've got 6 of them, and they've made the most of them, scoring 2 runs on a hit in the 1st inning, a solo home run in the 2nd, and a run on 3 hits in the 7th. 2-0 count to Sunberg. Looks like more than an adequate replacement for Jody Davis at this point.
That's an amazing thing to be able to do, to have a Gold Glove catcher hurt and put someone of this quality in to replace him.
Well, the Cubs added 12 Gold Gloves in acquisition over the winter. 6 in right field in Andre Dawson, and 6 behind the plate in Jim Sunberg. 3-1 count on Sunberg. Dickie Knowles in the on-deck circle. And he looks like he's going to hit for himself. Strike 2. Full count on Sunberg. Michael Jackson, the 3rd Philadelphia pitcher. Kevin Gross started, went 6 1/3 innings, gave up all 4 Cub runs. All 6 hits, walked 2, struck out 5. Flying drive, Sunberg's 4 for 4. Falls in front of Glenn Wilson, and what a night he's had. Just about everything Gene Michael has done tonight is right. He's made some good moves. Obviously, the insertion of Manny Trio defensively in the 8th inning paid dividends. He handled 2 tough chances. And now Dickie Knowles is going to hit for himself. So Knowles in a bunt situation. And Von Hayes coming over now. He's talking to him about not pivoting George at first base and throwing. He's letting him know when he's going to release and charge the bunt. Last thing you want to do is throw with nobody home at first.
How much harder is it now to sacrifice on the run than if you're at home?
Much more so, especially with good men at the corners, as the Phillies have. And Knowles fouls it off. As you can see, Hayes is releasing very early. He's standing right on the doorstep of Dickie Knowles, who's looking down at Vukovich for the sign.
Doesn't Knowles really want to push it past the pitcher to the empty second base?
Well, ideally, you'd like to do that, but sometimes the pitcher doesn't cooperate and he throws that fastball in under your chin. And you've got to get the ball down, and especially, it's almost like catching the ball with your bat. You'd like to deaden it. There you look at the defense, and Knowles misses it. 0-2 count, and I think they're going to give him one more opportunity to bunt. Chico Walker in the on-deck circle. Cubs trying to get an insurance run. They lead 4-3. It's all tied at 7. They'd love to have one more going into the bottom of the 9th inning. A dangerous Philly club, especially here at the Vet. Draws the bat back, and it's low.
Fairly back.
Quick conference at third base, and now Vukovich is giving the signs to Sunberg and letting him know just exactly what Dickie Knowles is going to do. Strike 3, he swung away, no contact. That'll bring up Chico Walker, who's 1 for 3 tonight. He walked to lead off the ball game. Later scored on a single by Andre Dawson, and he singled in the 7th inning. Now here's a man who can put the ball down the right side like he did in the 9th inning yesterday, and probably beat it out. Fastball misses high and away. Chico flied out very deep to right field in the 5th, sending Glenn Wilson back to the warning track. Different perspective for you up here looking down. You get better angles on fly balls and things along those lines.
You do. I think that. Oh my.
Right back up the middle. Throw to second for 1. Back to first. Pulls Hayes off the bag, and Chico is safe.
Most
Little mix-up in timing at second base, George.
Was that bad timing, or did they just not decide who was going to cover on that play?
Well, they usually decide before each and every pitch, and I don't know exactly what happened, but both of them went to cover, and you can see Samuel almost run over by Steve Jeltz at second. But in any case, that allowed the Cubs one more opportunity. Watch it again, and you'll see both men at the bag. Samuel giving ground. Now you're going to see a stolen base attempt right here by Chico Walker. They're 4 for 4 tonight. There's absolutely no reason to try to get another man in scoring position. So we'll keep our eye on Walker. Sunberg walked and scored the second Cub run in the first inning. Was hit by a pitch in the fifth. Struck out, lined into a double play in the seventh inning. Quick throw to first.
And Samuel will be covering here.
Outfield straightaway, fairly deep for Sunberg. And a breaking ball for a strike. Rick Sutcliffe and Joe Cowley tomorrow night. 6:05 game time. That's Chicago time. And another breaking ball, 0-2.
On the big television screen in center field, they have the picture of Sunberg with his mustache.
Have to shave it off the picture. There you can see Rhino with the mustache. And Rhino Son's mustache. Good pitch for Chico Walker to run. Let's see if the Phillies decide to pitch out. A good camera angle.
It's been a long night for Parrish.
Cubs, remember, 4 for 4. Runner doesn't go. And a high, tight fastball.
Would have been a good one to steal on.
Yeah, I don't quite understand why he's not letting him go, but maybe he thinks Sunberg can hit the long ball against Jackson. Andre Dawson in the on-deck circle. Runner going. Fouled off. Chico goes down and asks Terry Tate if the ball was fouled up. We're not going to get a straight answer out of the second baseman. Many times he's going to tell you, no problem, you can head back to first. I saw Chris Spire as a youngster with San Francisco do it to a man named John Jeter, then with San Diego. He said, John, you can go back to first. John said, for sure? And he said, oh, yeah, and tagged him out when he stepped off the bag. Pop straight up. Juan Samuel calls everybody off. And he makes the catch. So the Cubs get a base hit and they leave one. No runs, no hits, no errors, and one left. We head into the bottom of the ninth inning. Cubs on top, 4-3. To a baby any minute. They didn't want us to announce it early in the ball game, but at this point, John Felsky probably knows that Lee Smith isn't around when he looks down into that bullpen. So Smitty's going to be a dad. And right now, the Cubs are 3 outs away from winning their first game in 1987, and a big bat stands in the way. The bat of Mike Schmidt, who homered in the 6th inning. Right back at Dickie Knowles, and they're going to get Schmidt, and that's a big out.
So now you got Easler and Parrish. They don't make it easy.
Dickie Knowles came on in the 7th inning. He walked Glenn Wilson, picked him off first base, and he's retired the next 6 men in order. So Dickie Knowles has come on and done quite a job for Gene Michael on a night when someone had to step out of that bullpen and take control without Lee Smith out there. And here comes Mike Easler with a solo home run in the 2nd inning. He's 1 for 3. Outfield, a shade toward right center. And Easler taps it up the right side. Tough play. Leon Durham makes the tag. He's out at first. The Cubs are 1 out away.
It's a little surprising that the Phillies batters are this impatient.
A good curveball down. Now watch Leon Durham. He's got to come get the ball and try to get back to the bag. Instead, he knows he's got to make the tag, and tag him he does. Cubs 1 out away. And Lance Parrish steps up. He's 0 for 3. Struck out twice, lined out in the 6th inning, and he also swings at the first pitch. A slider away, and baseball's changed, George. They're not waiting for a walk in the 9th anymore.
They're waiting for a good pitch.
That evens the count at 1-1. Good slider for a strike. 1-2. 2 out here in the bottom of the 9th inning. Phillies down to their last out, and Dickie Knowles trying for his first save of the year.
I want him to get the save, but I hate to have my broadcasting career end here.
Ground ball in the hole. Tough play for Dunston. Backhands it, the long throw across, and he pulls Durham off the bag. Parrish is safe at first. Dunston. Backhand sets the back foot, fires across. Leon Durham has got to go get the ball, and now a pinch runner for Parrish as Gene Michael comes out to the mound.
The ball was there in time to get the runner.
Chris James is the pinch runner. Gene Michael out to talk with Dickie Knowles, Jim Sunberg, Manny Trio, and Sean Dunston talking it over to the left of the mound. And Gene Michael says, it's your ball game, young man. You've done a whale of a job so far. Wrap it up. Glenn Wilson hit a solo home run in the 2nd inning. Slide to left in the 5th through a base on balls in the 7th. And he's facing Dickie Knowles for the 2nd time in this ball game. Fastball misses low and away. James a short lead at first. Outfield straight away, very deep. They've got to cut off the double. They know they've got to move a little further back in the alley. Squibber off the end of the bat. This could be it. Knowles over to Durham. The Cubs win. Their first win of 1987.